Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday evening live from Kudos. Welcome to the stream. I hope that you're looking forward to some introductory information about all of my guests. We've got some people who are usually here. We've got Jason, we've got Clifford, we've got Marcus, we've got me as well. I'm here, I think. And we've got some lovely guests, people sat around in the green room, chilling out. I can see a few of them. I'm not sure that they're ready, but hopefully by the time that we get them on, they'll be ready to come along and tell us some information about themselves and share some good times and some laughs and hopefully some insights into about focus. So let's, without a moment of hesitation, introduce some people. Here is Marcus.
Brother, the timing cannot be any better. Thank you so much. Hello, guys. Good evening, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. The second you called me, I stopped pressing the brake. We're about to park. We're not driving and talking. And a cup full of water just spilled on my pants and on the car.
Oh dear.
So,
I did it.
Well, welcome, brother.
I did it.
Would
But
you
I
like
hope
to
everyone's having a good
introduce?
day.
Would you like to introduce your passenger, maybe our new co-host for the evening? Would you like to introduce this lovely lady? Because I don't know who she. Well, I know who she is, but we haven't met, have we? So introduce her to everybody.
How about I'll have her introduce herself? Mike's yours.
Oh, okay.
Go.
Hi, Matt. Hi,
Hi.
everyone. I'm Anastasia. I'm originally from Poland, and my company does video media production, videos, and is specializing in sharing stories of women who've been through abusive relationships, and I showcase how they are able to thrive and heal and empower others, and how the whole society is changing by the transformation of that woman, that individual.
That's wonderful.
So we're in the red team, the niche team. Just kidding. She's obviously niching down, but yeah, that's her. I'm still
Wonderful.
trying to drive the car.
Yeah, you tried to deal with that. Let's get Jason and Clifford on board.
Thank you, man.
Let's introduce Clifford first of all. Good evening, brother. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good.
We had a full.
How was the anniversary?
It was amazing.
Was it? Did you look
Steak
after
dinner.
her?
Yeah, steak dinner. You can't go wrong with the steak dinner.
Good man. You know how to treat a lady, don't you?
Yes, 100%. You get better with time, just like wine.
um, did you use the kissing tips that I introduced the other week?
I absolutely did. Thank you.
Good man. Talking about kissing tips, here's our fellow co-host. He's the man, the one and only Jason.
Yes. How's
How
everybody
you doing,
doing?
brother?
Good, good.
You're
How's
looking
everything
cool,
going?
man.
Great. How about yourself?
Good, man. Just it's another day here in paradise down here in Colombia. All is well.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I would like to
Yeah.
point out about 3 hours ago, I was stepping off of a train because there was one broken down in the mainline station. It was freezing cold and it was covered in rain. I wasn't very happy. I've warmed up a little bit now, especially you guys are here, so I'm feeling good. So, who should we get to introduce themselves first? Let's go with Clifford. Do you want to tell everybody just a little bit about who you are, what you're up
Yeah.
to?
Clifford Starks in the house, marketing strategist, coach, and I teach you how to fight and I teach you how to flow. Because in life, you got to do both if you're looking to make your dream a reality.
Too right, brother. Marcus, you want to tell everybody who you are?
You're muted.
You okay?
Don't
Okay,
wreck.
I'll go to
You
Jason.
better not be driving
We'll go
right
to
now.
Marcus.
You better not be
Maybe we'll
driving
ditch
trying to
Marcus off the
sneak out
screen
of
in a
me.
minute. Honestly, Jason, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course, man. I'm Jason Wilson, joining you from Colombia. I've been down here for 20 years. I mean, it's been an experience to say the least. It's great, though. I love this country. I'm a podcast producer. I'm a mental wellness expert. And advocate as well. I'm building a community right now called Circle of Friends Club, which is basically based on mental wellness too. We're going to be launching that towards the end of this year.
Sounds good, man. So I suppose whilst we're waiting for Marcus to
We're
deal
good
with
now.
his technical difficulties, oh,
We're
you're
good.
here now.
Yeah, we're here now. You know us.
Okay, well then you
We
take my place.
specialize in technical difficulties. But yeah, my name is Marcus, guys. You can call me the brand scientist. I help creative business owners make over 100,000 in their first year, and that's what I specialize on is critical thinking. That's
Critical
it.
thinking.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm impressed. Where
Anastasia,
do I sign up?
wait,
Hey,
she's got to say
Clifford.
hers too. How you
Good to
doing,
see you.
superstar? You as well. Introduce yourself to the group.
Okay, I have to do this on a Monday evening. I was hoping not to have to do this on a Thursday evening. When this goes up, it's my
It
turn
sucks.
occasionally, right? So, right. I'm Matt Allen. I'm founder of Kudos. If you don't know what that is because we have not had a talk that applies to you, Anastasia, in particular, and some other people sat in the green room and probably some people in the audience. You will not understand what Kudos is from any of the information that's out there. Even your friend sat with you in the car should not be telling you what Kudos is, because the first rule of Kudos Club is you do not tell anybody what Kudos is. Marcus, have you told Anastasia what Kudos is?
I mean, you can ask her.
It's a secret. I can tell you.
Good. Thank you. So this evening is about focus. It is about business strategies and whether we should think about the details, the fine small things, or whether we should focus on the big picture, whether we should zoom in or zoom out to our customers, whether we should think about whether we're going to niche things down or throw our nets wide to capture as many customers as possible, whether we're going to think about funnels or whether we're going to think about pivoting to different ideas and things that we might want to change to because maybe we haven't got enough confidence in what we're doing. Let's have a talk about that. Who wants to kick us off? Any thoughts in particular that anybody wants to start the conversation with? Don't all say something at once.
Yeah, I can start. So the most important thing that I've noticed on my journey, if we're looking to focus, is focus on what, right? So when we can get really, really intentional with what is it that I want to create? And I know Marcus loves this because he talks about the SMART method. Be specific, measurable. Is it attainable? Is it realistic? And what timeline are you doing it in? Me and Jason are each other's accountability partners, and his accountability sheet was much more focused than mine. I'm just looking at it and I'm like, wow, he's got the time, the specifics, like what it's going to be. And I was like, okay, here's an opportunity. You know, that's how I see it as, is I have an opportunity to say, okay, let me go redo my sheet. And so that's what I did. I just redid it. You become what you're around. C do have, B do have. So what do you want? Where do you want to be? And who do you need to be around to make that a reality?
I'm going to put my hand
Well
up at this
said.
point because I feel left out. Marcus got a shout there. Jason got a shout there. You got a shout, and me, I don't mean nothing.
I didn't give you a shout.
No, you said Jason's got the Jason's your accountability partner.
What I will say,
Marcus, who's now off of mute, is something I don't know.
I'll give you a kudos. How about that?
Kudos.
Yep.
Jason, what about you? You're the man with the plan. You're the man with the sheet. What's your take on things? What's your input here?
I think it really depends on what your goal is, which is exactly what Cliff just said. For me, I had to really, really niche down with my media company because I think if I was trying to be, or trying to spread myself too thin and reach everybody, it wouldn't work. So I had to niche down to 40 plus women who basically have limited social media skills and need to brush up on their LinkedIn, as well as starting podcast shows, that's my focus, and so far it's working out great.
Good. Marcus, you
We
must
were
have
just
some
talking.
input on this.
No, I could go all day, but we were just talking because she's wondering what is like the niching down. So I'm trying to explain to her my point of view. Niching down is like it's your customer focus, right? Like Seth Godin says, you pick one market, you split it in half. As long as you can split it in half, you just split it in half, pick left or right. So I genuinely like to focus on the customer. That's the external. Whenever I introduce myself, I'm focused on customers externally. But internally, because just because we're focusing on some specific demographics doesn't mean we're excluding the rest as well, right? So we're still gonna get those people who's wondering what we do. That doesn't mean we can't entertain them, but your external, I think, should be niched down. So at least you're a special or like a specialist in one thing. But of course, you can be jack of all trades as well. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was listening still.
She's still learning. She's still digesting it.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in. So I'm a little bit unique in the sense that I don't have customers currently. Let's put it that way. I have to be careful about what I say as usual. But my thing is possibly quite large scale. So in terms of niching down, that's quite difficult for me to do. But at the same time, the 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 detail for me is the important thing. It's about ticking all of the boxes and then looking outside of the boxes to figure out not just where your focus needs to be in terms of making sure that the boxes are ticked, but how the boxes link together, as well as how they individually interact for your customers. It's not just picking certain, like Marcus said, picking certain demographics or splitting something in half and choosing one half or the other half. It's about relationship between those things and about being able to adapt and change. Not, I don't like the word pivot. I've never liked the word pivot in business. If you're not on board with what you're doing, that's not pivot. That's completely change what you're thinking because you've already thought the wrong thing because you don't believe in what you're doing in the first place. That's my opinion. I'm sure there's many people who love the idea of pivoting, but like I say, for me, that just doesn't exist. I believe in what I do. It's all about understanding what that means for people, ticking those boxes and then connecting the boxes as well as ticking them. What about other people?
Was that a
All right,
question?
I think she's able to digest some of it, Matt. So I think
Yeah.
she's ready to speak.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, what you shared made me to have another insight because I am a beginner in business. So, like example, at the beginning, when I was working with Clifford and I was trying to express who is my avatar, it was like I would say like everyone who've been through abusive relationships, and I couldn't really get clear. And Clifford would say, "Oh, I am confused. I'm not sure if you, Anastasia, if you found really who are you serving." And I felt like that I was that serving more bigger group of people will create more impact, and that's what I was standing for. But then at the end of the day, I was not able to articulate who I was helping because of it was too general. And now, like narrowing down it to just women with similar experience, what I went through, made me to get more clear when I come with my product, and
Yeah.
it just makes it easier, like that smart, like it makes it smart.
He's against you, basically, Matt. He's against
Yeah.
you. She was against you.
He is against you.
She was against you, my
Oh, yeah.
bad.
That's okay. That's not a problem. I can cope with that.
Everyone is anyways, right? Against us. Everyone's against us.
Yeah, you know. So I fully understand where you're coming from, because at the point of a new business, what you want to do is to be able to define who that avatar is, define who your target market is. The only problem is with that sometimes is that you think that you know who they are, but you also need to understand the marketplace and realize that sometimes the market shifts in relation to who you think they are, and they end up possibly being different people. Now, that's not that pivot word. That pivot word would relate to
I was
your
gonna say.
business model rather than your customer. And customers can change. And the great thing about the world that we live in is that everybody is unique, and it's about finding the right fit for your product in the marketplace and what people want. What about you guys? Clifford, do you look at your business in the sense of who you're targeting first by the sounds of things, if that's what Anastasia has taken from you, is niching down to a particular avatar, or do you do that
My
differently?
biggest thing is action, action, action. It means nothing if we don't act on the thing. Oh, I got
Yeah.
the perfect market. All right, act on it. Oh, I don't know my market. Great, act on it.
Yeah.
So if I have like a fishing pole with a worm, you could say, I'm going to go fishing for shark. Now, most people would say, like, okay, that doesn't make sense and it's not going to work. I'll still tell you, if you want to believe that it works, great, act on it. Act on it and see if it works. If it doesn't, adjust. If it does, that's interesting and unique. Well done. But yeah, action's the thing that slows people down as they go through their journey. And sometimes what we don't get is if we're acting on something, we're not acting on another thing. You know, every action we're taking, we are taking an inaction somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so have action, but act with some form of intention. And that's why it's important to know, like, okay, I'm going after this thing. So now I can measure on whether it's working or not.
Yeah.
You know, Marcus is driving in the car right now. And if he didn't know where he was going, like, oh, I'm just, Anastasia's like, hey, where are we going? I'm just driving around. Like, okay, well, we don't have a destination. Like, no, we're just going to drive until we run out of gas. Like, sounds like fun, right? Like, no, that sucks. And so when we're really intentional with our journey, things start getting easier faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking about fishing. So a good example of that would be you decide that you're going to go out fishing for shark, right? And you mind set on shark. And then you're casting your line into the water, and what you keep coming up with is squid. Some completely different. And all of your gear in your boat is set to handling the shark. Like you've got a big grappling hook to pull it up into the boat, but you haven't got a net, and you need the net for catching the squid. So it's about partially understanding who you are, who your business is, and what you want to achieve. Whether you're driven by customer service, or you're driven by innovation, or you're driven by you like to do sales, or you like to deal with this side of the business or that side of the business, the thing that incorporates you, and then finding the tools that you have that suit the marketplace that you're trying to go for. If your market doesn't exist in that place, then you need to think about getting either a different boat or a different bit of tackle to deal with the fish that you're reeling into your boat. What about you, Jason? How do you feel
I
about
agree,
these
man.
things?
I agree. I totally agree. You need to be focused, and with lack of focus, you're going to draw a little bit of everything, which some of that you probably don't even want, right, Clifford?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely having focus on the kind of demographic that you're going after, the time frame of which you want things to happen for you, and having a vision for your business too, I think is very, very important.
Yeah. And action is usually measured by some degree of accountability, like you and Jason have together, about this is where I want to be, this is a goal that I want to achieve. and then being able to put that in a box and say, right, well, that is the thing that I want to achieve by, I don't know, by this time, or a certain amount of revenue in return to how much I've invested by X amount of time. And those are the things that we sort of block off a little bit. We sort of think, well, I'm more focused on getting my customers, but those are very important data points. Maybe Marcus, you want to talk a little bit about that side of things in terms of the science behind getting to the right data that helps you to make the decisions?
Yeah, I actually wanted to give shout out to Guller again. I think she was from the last episode. She
Good
said
luck.
collect
Yeah,
data, right? She said collect data,
yeah,
and then also for Leyland, whenever you get that sushi, we would like to try some of it. Whenever you go fishing and get that sushi, but what I'm hearing here really is you have to make a decision that you want to take the action. The question is, how do you make decision? Well,
yeah,
you have. I think that the bigger the impact of a decision you will make, the more data you need to make that decision. So that's what I call triple DM, or the data driven decision making. And it's not just data that you collect from your neighbor or from someone you're driving with, right? But also it should be qualitative data.
yeah,
If you're trying to go how far you are, you don't want to get the data on someone's car, but your car, the details on your car, the gas, the mileage, everything else. And that's how you can make the most, I would say, impactful, in a good way, decision on any, not just in business, in life, really. Sometimes you have to look at things binary, sometimes you don't, but overall, it's believing in yourself. Because, if you don't, then why would you other even believe you? You gotta have the hunger, like Jason said. You gotta have that vision. You have to
yeah,
visualize it. That's why it's called vision statement. But at
yeah,
least have some data to back it up and be practical with it. That's my take on it.
And I
yeah,
want to bring something up too, because Marcus makes a really good point. When we're taking action, sometimes we have these roadblocks because we don't feel like we know what action to take. So we're almost better not taking an action at all than to take an action and screw it up. Go around people who have already acted on the thing you're looking to act on. If you can go around people who have already acted on the thing that you're looking to act on, you're gonna win.
yeah,
And some people, even if I'm creating something that's never been done before. So then go around someone who's created something that's never been done before,
yeah,
because they know the answer to that. And there's always an answer. Like, I look at it and I go, no, there's always an answer. It's always there. And women really made me stretch and flex my brain in unique ways, because they think differently. They just think differently. And I had to train them to lose weight. Like, that's the hardest thing, taking someone who have habits to gain weight and training them to do the exact opposite. And so
yeah,
I'm like, all right, I know there's a solution in here somewhere. I just need to find it. And just do it doesn't mean like, yeah, just do it. It means figure out the pieces on what's going to get you to take the step. What's going to make you take the step? Hey, you took a step inside the gym. That's the first one. You already made one. You're already in the right direction. So then we just keep adding on that momentum, because momentum can crush through anything. We get our momentum moving in the right direction, and we've already won half the battle. But if we never get that momentum going, life gets really, really hard, really, really fast.
yeah, that's true. Um, so interesting thing is how we perceive a problem as well, and the way that we look at it, and how we think that we're going to change that problem into a solution. Um, the way that I think about things sounds a bit weird, because I always think about the solution before the problem. I come up with a solution and then I look for the problem fit to that solution. It's a different way of thinking. It's a little bit novel, but in many ways it works. For me,
It's
at least.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
We're different here. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game, baby.
Jason, what about the psychological side of things? What do you think about people's brains and the way that they think about their problems? What about the the sort of brain way of thinking about, I like to think big, I like to think small, I like to deal with the details. What do you think's good for people to think about, or do you think that it suits individuals in an individual way? What's the...
Well, I'm a big thinker, and I think that you are too, and so is Clifford. I think that if you have a big vision, then you have to have a personality that can visualize and dream. You know, you can't be afraid to dream, because I think fear is the biggest thing that stops people, and perception also. You know, if you're always thinking about the problem, you'll never move past it. So you always have to be solution minded. And a good friend of mine, Nuria, do you know Nuria, Matt?
Don't think so. Maybe.
Okay, she made a
I
wonderful.
know too many
Yeah,
people.
she made a wonderful. Yeah, yeah, she made a wonderful post today, man, about the same subject. And I said that if you can train yourself to always be solution minded, then you're going to be not only a master in business, but a master at life.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing as well, because Marcus mentioned it before, is that we need to look not just at business, but as us as people. Because really, if we're going to deliver on what we're doing as business, we need to think about that in terms of us as a person, not just niching down in terms of our customers, but niching down in terms of what we want to provide, what our values, what our cores are that we believe in as people, and then trying to incorporate that into our business to make sure that it fits with who we are, not just some idea that we've got and thinking, yeah, that'd make some money. Is it all about the money? Is it all about delivering a service? Is it all about providing that service for a particular type of person that we want to help? Or is it because we've actually realized who we are as people, what our dream is, what our aspiration is, what our belief is, and then operating on that and providing a solution that's based on not just data, but data about ourselves as well, because we understand who we are and therefore what our boxes are, because that really is the driver to a successful business. In my idea is that really, if you're servicing yourself because you understand what you want to provide as a person, your business is more likely to succeed because you are 100% behind that idea. That's the thing that I like about Anastasia, is that she's experienced life in terms of some of the things that she's trying to deal with and trying to provide solutions for and trying to encourage other people to succeed through. And in many ways we all are, and that's the great thing about all of us. And I guess one of the drawing factors that draws us all together as people and as friends and brothers, and Anastasia, you're an honorary brother today, but it's just something that draws us together, is those are the type of people that we are. We look for solutions, and those solutions are based on our experience and what we want to provide for other people. Everybody agree, or you think something different?
She's been nodding the whole time. We agree over here, brother.
Yeah.
I can't see you over that side of the screen.
That's fair. Understood. You put me there for a reason, huh?
You're behind the kudos sign. You're just a giant kudos for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
It feels
So
like
that,
it feels
sorry?
like it's your superpower to see the solution before like what people normally see first, problems. And I'm curious, how did you develop that skill? How you as a Matt?
Not willing to share that. That's a private call about kudos.
I got you.
First rule of kudos core is don't talk about kudos. I can't tell
You
you
touched a nerve.
Ten point. Well,
Wait, Matt has a heart, guys.
that.
He can share it
hide
off
behind
camera
that
though.
kudos sign and don't
That's
be telling
cool.
people
All right.
that Matt
You
has a
got
heart. Honestly. All right, shall we get some people in? Or is there something more that anybody else wants to particularly hit upon before I start bringing some people in?
I feel
No,
also like
you've all finished.
self-compassion is important, because as we grow more awareness as entrepreneurs about our like old habits and the way we interact, and many times like I find myself repeating like self-sabotage and waiting for being perfect or having perfect skills, and then I realized, wait, it's not never going to happen. Probably I will die before it happens, so why not now? And then just even like approaching that field, that fear is a power. Like the more I'm afraid of, the more there is in me to give to the world, and that's actually a sign that I am like changing the perspective of what fears means, because maybe the fear is a sense of our personal power, the gift we can give to the world. So that also helped me to talk to myself, have a self-talk when I feel like afraid of, even before this call, being on the call. Who am I to be here, right? Because of like I'm not doing what you guys are doing yet, but I want to be there. So I surround myself with people who are doing it, and I make questions, and I'm afraid, and then I'm speak to myself that it's okay to feel it, and it's and I know that I'm not that feeling in the same time, and I feel like it helps to enjoy more of the process instead of just forcing yourself and fighting and trying to don't feel your feelings and be successful, like trying to fight the fight instead of enjoying the fight.
I've done my job, brother. I'm out.
You have.
Wow.
Give me the key.
I'm
Wow.
just going to touch on that. I'm just going to touch on that for a moment, because there's a lot of people who have this anxiety about doing things, right? And I've read a few posts recently that cover both sides of this. And my very strong feeling about this is, if you don't do it, you're not going to do it. If a bit like Clifford was saying before, it's action that matters. Even if that action is wrong, you get up, you do what you can. And you believe in what you are capable of, because you're there for a reason. You're in that car with Marcus for a reason. You've done some legwork. You've gotten to that point, and you just need to believe in yourself. Forget about, am I capable of doing this? Is it right that I'm in here? Well, it is, because otherwise you're not here. You've established that position. You have gotten here. There is no question about that at all. I was in a group call that well, it's not really a group call, like a live in a Zoom meeting a couple of weeks ago. I was chatting to a lady who she does like talks in front of people, like TED Talks sort of, but not TED Talks. And she was saying how she's a bit concerned, and she's got this thing about, is she really the person to be stood up in front of these people? Is she the one that these people want to listen to? Well, she's there. She's doing it. You're in that car. You're traveling your journey. Your journey is maybe beginning, but you're still on that journey. You're part of that journey. Just believe in that. Enjoy the ride. Get on board and get involved. Don't let Marcus do all the driving. Kick him out of the car. That's my view. So let's get some people on board, huh?
Real quick.
Who should we have first?
Matt, I want to say one thing really quick.
Go on.
And this is for all of us, myself included. I'm perfect, and I'm also imperfect. They're just moments, and we're living moment by moment basis. And so there's moments when we feel like we got it, like we're on, and then there's moments that we feel like we're off, and it's okay, regardless of what moment we're going to have. We're just going to go moment by moment and just say, I'm going to do the best that I can in the moment that I'm in, and therefore stretch into something new, something different. But yeah, you're perfect. You're just imperfect too. Have fun. Keep celebrating.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there.
Marcus out the car.
Hey, what did I do today?
Okay, let's bring somebody in. Who's this? Christy.
Sorry, I was working on a resume.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Show. You do whatever you're doing. That's fine.
No. I'm enjoying the conversation. Marcus Anastasia, correct?
Yeah.
Are you guys in Phoenix?
California.
Where are you at right now?
LA.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Phoenix.
Yeah, well, I saw that you're from Phoenix. That's where I call my second home. And it's cold there, right?
Freezing for me.
I'm in Florida. It's not.
How
Well,
you doing, Christy?
Hi, Jason. I'm loving this. This is really the first time I was able to really focus on Matt's kudos, though I'm very curious what kudos is. I'm close, he said. So what, some of you guys know what I do. Let's put it this way. I've been in the corporate sector for over 40 years, so I'm old. And I was on and off most of my life as an executive assistant, besides being in management and having my own businesses. And God directed me to say, walk away and go help people. You're not going to make money, but help people. And so what I do is I help the job seekers. I've been doing free resume and LinkedIn reviews, but I do have a small service that's not a lot of work, because they get the confidence coaching, they get me pretty much 24/7. Because I wanted to be where I've done recruiting, I've done HR, but I didn't get married until I was 59. And so I moved all over the country. I want to go to New York. I don't have a job. Well, guess what? I'll figure it out. So I'm looking at on the other side, as I'm the job seeker. I know what these people are going through, the breakdowns, the fear. You guys talked about the fear. Clifford said, we're perfect, but we're imperfect. I work with a lot of people who are right now in this imposter syndrome. I've never heard of that before. And so I talk people off the cliff, but then I get them to fly. They have to love themselves first, and then they fly. And right now, my percentage of people getting jobs right now, I get excited every day. I get a phone call or a text or a message going, Christy, I got a job, because I help them get out of their head and get out of the fear. And I'm just trying to make them not have to go through everything that I went through in my lifetime. So, and it's all about being positive. I mean, life, we're on this side of the dirt. Let's live it to the fullest, even when it's crappy. You can always find something positive. So that's my little scoopy doopy.
Love it.
I very much do not like the phrase imposter syndrome.
Oh.
I don't mean that you shouldn't say that. What I'm saying is that I don't think that is something that people should view as a condition. I think that it's very much a case of going back to the data side of things and believing in ourselves. If you have concerns that you're not able to do what you're doing, go back to the drawing board, have a look at some online course or some sort of quiz or whatever level you're at to be able to establish whether you are able to do what you think that you are able to do. If you can't do that, then seek some training or some advice or some help to establish where you want to be, because if that's your dream to live, to be, I don't know, a teacher or a mathematician or a computer scientist or a burger flipper in McDonald's, whatever it is that you dream to be, and you can't tick the boxes to do that job, or you feel as though you can't do that, check whether you can. Go and flip some burgers, go and do a test about data science or whatever it is that you want to figure out. Find out if you can do it. If you can't, then figure out a way to learn to do that skill, because that's what you want to do. It's not imposter syndrome. It's just check to make sure that you are up to speed. If you're not, find a way to make yourself up to speed. Go ahead.
I know you're about putting the hand up. I'm right with you. Sorry. I do listen once in a while. I'm right with you. When this imposter syndrome started coming out, I'm like, what is that? I mean,
yeah.
A little bit about me. I left college after 2.5 years with a 0.01. However, I have a resume that rocks the world, because everybody would say, you can't do this. And I'll be like, watch me. because you have the choice, you have the power. If you want to do something, do it, learn it. There's there's people out there that'll help you, and so when people get into this fear, like I can't do it, and it just, to me, it's like you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah. And Jason said about that before, about fear. Fear is like the killer of all things. Ignore fear. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really exist until you are willing to try something. Then you know whether it's something that you can or can't do. Not, well, I'm scared about doing that. Well, don't be scared. Try it. It's probably not as scary as what you think. You agree, brother?
Yes.
Jason, you agree?
Absolutely. I think that there's always a blessing on the other side of that fear. So if you're willing to face it and go through it, especially when it comes to public speaking or something like that, you never know what kind of opportunity lies on the other side of that fear. So face it, go through it, and you'll be glad you did.
Yeah. Amen. Who shall we have next to join us? I promised this young lady to have her on early because she was on my Monday night show, and I teased her a little bit about keeping her in the back room. So we're going to bring her on a little bit earlier. She's known to some of you. She is Amber.
Hey,
Hello. How you doing?
how are you?
I'm okay.
You didn't bring me on early. You brought me in like the last 15 minutes again.
We might overrun, especially if you start talking too much. But anyway.
You got me. You got me.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the imposter syndrome, that is a new term for me too. And I don't understand it, but I also do understand it. And I think I understand it from the point of view that I myself am new at going into trying to launch off, become a professional, be in the workspace. I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't allowed to go out and work. I wasn't allowed to go out and educate myself. I had to leave a marriage to educate myself. And so everything I had to do has had literally everything stacked against me. And what I went for was nursing because I thought that's where my passion was. And then, you hate this word, Matt, I pivoted. I realized that I saw the problem gaps on the floor. I saw the gaps that were in the educational piece. I saw the gaps that were in the staffing piece. I saw the gaps that were between the medical record and writing everything into charts, and the gaps that you were actually leaving in the actual one-on-one patient care and recognizing them as people. And so what I want to do is flip it. So I'm visionary. I think big, I dream big. I know exactly what I want to do. I have no clue how to do it. And so a couple of months ago, I started jumping onto calls, jumping into rooms, whether it was about marketing strategy, whether it was on my mindset, whether it was on empathy, whatever it was to strengthen those things I felt like I needed to work on. And then from those rooms, if I find someone who inspires me in that room, I pick them up and I start following them too. And right now, I'm kind of a sponge, just absorbing what I can to figure out where I'm going till I get there. Fake it till you make it. I heard that is definitely something that I have to do. Well, in nursing, they kind of teach you that in school. You are dumped onto a clinical floor from the very first day of class, and you are expected to act like you are that professional. You are that nurse. You have all that knowledge that you can go in and speak to a patient and act like you know what the medications are that they're on and the systems and the processes that they're sick with, and you don't have a clue. But you're expected to act like you do. And you're not supposed to let that patient know that you have any doubt in yourself. And that was something I found with a lot of my classmates. And as a non-traditional student going back at 35, 36 to get my nursing degree, I was surrounded by 20-year-olds who had no skills, didn't know how to make contact with a patient, much less they couldn't even make eye contact with me, their other student. Because of my age, they couldn't look at their nurse that they were taking orders from. They couldn't look at their patients. And to me, it was kind of like I was the mother hen. I had all these young students coming to me. How do you do that? How you just go in there and talk to them? And I'm like, they're people. Do you have a grandparent? Do you have an aunt? Do you have a cousin? Like, how do you speak to those people? Like, if you want information, How are you getting that information? And for me, I'm always treating people the exact same. No matter what level you're on, you're a human being. I'm a human being. I have questions. You might have answers. Einstein said there are no stupid questions. None. And so I never have a problem opening my mouth to speak. Matt will tell you that. Probably have a bigger problem with shutting my mouth. But that, and I actually had somebody in one of these rooms tell me that that was actually my superpower. And I didn't realize that. I had been told my entire life, be quiet. You're too much. Tone this down. Turn this off. Mold yourself. And she said, everything that they're fighting you on is because they're intimidated by you. They're scared of your voice. They're scared of the power in what you say. And so that little like insight was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I took that to my next meeting. And that is kind of how I just have rolled for the last 3 months, Matt, from your room into another room. And I just take that lesson that I learned from one, I apply it, and I move it on to the next. And I'm just apply, act, as Clifford said. I had someone who invited me to write on a book, collab with a book 2 weeks ago. They set up the meeting. I go into the meeting. I'm expecting to just tell them, okay, how I overcame my adversity. And the problem was she had this whole program that you signed up for, you paid money for, and over a 6-month period, they taught you how to write, they edited it, they put it you out, they did all that work for you. But the sign-up sheet never told me anything about a cost, never told me anything about a program. I literally thought I was going in with my experiences as a woman, having been through abuse, having buried my father of cancer, being a caretaker, all these different things that I had overcome. That's all I thought I was coming to that meeting with. So she pretty much tells me flat out, I don't fit the program, which was like a little bit of a bummer because I had been built up for 2 weeks that, oh, this is exactly what I need. This is what I want. I'm jumping in, made my mind up on it. And so as soon as I get off the call, I'm like, okay, so what do you do now? And Matt, I pivoted. Hate the word if you want, but I said, you know what? Okay, so I want my voice to get out there. I can't do this writing book. What can I do? You know what? It's Transgender Week. I have a transgender son. How about an audio event? Click, started my audio event the next night. That afternoon, I contacted somebody about starting a podcast. I launched my podcast in a month. Act. I'm done sitting. Act. I have 3 prolapsed organs right now. I cannot go to a physical job. I can't lift weight. I can't do anything. And I've been stuck here since November. And in January, I said, the hell with it. Pick up every tool I can, go to every class I can. And right now, I think as of today, I've been to 128 events since December 1st. Wow. And I take them and I apply it and I run with it because that I'm a overthinker. And so I don't have to listen to something 30 times. I can listen to it twice, apply it and roll. Let's go to the next lesson. Somebody taught me golf a few years ago and they were astounded at how quickly I picked it up and moved to like semi-pro clubs in like 3 months because everything that they critiqued me on and corrected, I immediately picked it up, changed it, stuck it, and went to the next. And that's who I am. And I think when you look at focusing big, focusing small, it's got to go back to your core beliefs. It's got to go back to your core values because it's the only way you're going to stick with it. Like if it's not who you are, you're not going to stick with that. And for me, nursing is who I thought I was. And then I got on the floor in clinicals and realized, oh, hell no. This isn't me. I'm a yes man that, yes, I want to help people, but that was going to be one-on-one patient care. And I need to exact change. And when I say change, like secure reproductive women's rights, secure transgender rights to healthcare access, flip the U.S. healthcare system on its head and go to universal healthcare system. We are a for-profit model, go to for people. How can you promise life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness if 30-some million people can't access healthcare? You can't.
True. I think so pivot is one of these things that people sometimes misconstrue because they think, well, if I change, then that's pivoting. But that's not pivoting. Pivoting is literally constantly bopping around trying to figure out some way to move forwards. That's not what you're doing. What you've done is that you've tried to identify what you want to do that fits with your core values. bouncing around some ideas until you hit on the right one, because one doesn't work, one doesn't work, one doesn't work. Oh, this one works. That's not finding your core values. Understanding you as a person, that's understanding your core values and then applying that to something that you want to do. So yeah, let's bring somebody else in. I am going to bring in Pauline, my friend. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I've been sitting here. Hello. Hi. I've been listening to this amazing conversation. It's feel like the grandmother of the piece because I have grandchildren of 13 and 15. But I think it's very important to have passion, which I hear from all of you, and I know what Clifford's saying about action. But I think also having a thought about what your legacy is in the world. Now, what are you gonna leave? Have you ever done the exercise of writing your own obituary? I don't know what that noise is.
I don't know where that's coming from.
But I think at this stage of our lives in this planet, we need to really understand some of the critical things that are going wrong. And I really admire what Amber was saying. My passion is to stop the violence between men and women, especially against women and girls. I'm doing some work in Africa on this. But I also want to stopping. I want to start. So I always encourage people not to keep on talking about what they want to stop, because when you say that, you're focusing on what you want to stop. So let's start with green light and focus on what we would like instead. So what is the world? So I talk about authentic harmony. So to be honest, if you had authentic harmony between men and women, you wouldn't have any violence. That's my theory. So if you think about how we create harmony in music, harmony on the football pitch, whatever it is, it's about people working together. Yeah. Men and women of all cultures, all diversities, everything. So that's my mission. I'm a kind of behavioralist conversational person. I'm called the conversation game changer. I want to change the conversation in the world so that we actually stop talking about the bad stuff and really start talking about the good stuff. So I know we have to deal with the bad stuff. I'm not ignoring that. But for instance, I did a keynote recently which says goodbye equality, hello harmony, because we need to focus on what we want. That's my pledge to all of you. We want to focus on what we want and work on that and make sure that it's the positive energy that we're bringing into the world. I hope you agree. I think that's at the base of everything.
You know, I just want to say, like, you're speaking my language. Really, that's what it is. It's like you have to find why are you doing it genuinely inside of you. And I just back it up. It's like I always tell myself, and she knows it. As long as I leave here giving more than I take, I'm happy. Right? Yeah. But that has to come from experience, and I know Matt is coming from that side of things as well. And really, it's like you can't tell the brain what not to think. So just think of the good things. Like, don't think of an elephant. Wow, it's so I just can't. It's so, instead of trying to do something impossible, just think of the good things.
Yes.
Look at things differently. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I just love it. I just have to say it.
So I run things called wisdom circles, and the mission in a wisdom circle is to not judge, not make assumptions, not be angry. So actually, you're in a sacred space where even if you hear something you don't like, you park that feeling of not liking and say, right, that's an interesting perspective. Let's just let it flow. And you're inviting people to put positive experiences into that mix. So if you took what I consider to be the most difficult topic in the world, which is violence against women, with a group of men, I've actually got 6 African presidents of 6 African nations who have pledged a mission called Positive Masculinity to remove violence against women and girls. Now, that's a challenge conversation because obviously men have been the perpetrators of this, but it is ongoing. And what's interesting is that the men have taken control of the initiative and reckon they know the answer, but as the women on the call know, they don't know the answer yet. But there are brave women in the mix also doing it, but it's a gentle approach. to find that way. But that's my mission. My legacy is to get rid of toxic behavior in the world and anything that comes out of toxicity. So anything that damages another human person is not on.
Yeah. Legacy is something that I'm completely about, because the fact of the matter is that it's all very well and good that we need change today, but if we don't change today, what's the future hold for the future generations? Not just our children, but their children's children. And we look at the world as it is today and we think, yeah, we're not happy about this, we're not happy about that. Well, let's change those things. Let's find the solutions instead of just sat here talking. And I don't mean that as in like we're sat here, but just in general, we're sat here thinking, what are the problems of today's society? Well, let's forget about the problems. Let's find the solutions, because the solutions are much more easy to find than the problems are that are right in front of us, because the solution is everybody and listening to people and understanding them.
Can I suggest something, Matt? Then not be a problem solver and not look for solutions, but look for opportunities.
Yeah.
So be an opportunity seeker. And consider that if we had a blank sheet, how would you like the world to be? And start from there and come back. It's like reverse engineering.
Yeah.
You know, that when they went to the moon, they worked out how to land on the moon and get off the moon before they decided how to get off Earth. So if we take a blank sheet, which, to be honest, COVID has given us a lot towards that. It's a blank sheet. Everything could be different. What would you actually like without referring to the past? There's a challenge.
Yeah. And what are the possibilities that opens up for other people to consider those options, those opportunities, those possibilities for things to change? And I know that I say this maybe too much for some people, but for miracles to happen, because we are those miracles and we can make those things happen.
We are. And for anybody who says, oh, that's not possible, everything is possible. And we know that over the last 5 years that things have happened that have been so extraordinary, we would never have imagined them. And things are rushing at us at great speed. And, you know, I'm 74 this year, so I've been around a long time, and there's been a lot of change in that time when I was born just after the World War II. So everything has changed. We can create a new world and not let other people control us. And certainly not governments.
Do you know what? That is a magic in itself, to the fact that you are 74 and here you are leading the charge at making those opportunities available for the people of the future, because you realize that legacy is what we need. We need change, and we need that to be available for everybody. That's a miracle in itself, let alone the fact that you're 74. I don't believe a word that you say now, because you don't look 74, love. Marcus looks more like 74 than what you do.
I knew for a second, I knew he was going to say that too.
Okay, moving swiftly on. One last person in the green room. We're going to bring on a lovely friend of mine. Good evening, Keith. How are you doing, my friend?
Great.
Good. How is life for you today? Are you doing well?
Doing very well.
Good, man. We always know that you are, don't we?
Thank you.
Well, have you got any words of wisdom, any thoughts about things that have been said this evening?
What comes to my mind, perceiving creatively, most people believe and they put in a box what they hear from what they know. When you step outside the box, you can be much more effective if you keep your mind open to learning from others. People always try to put your knowledge in a box of what they already know. That is very limiting, not just to you, but to them.
Yeah. If you remember earlier, I was talking about ticking boxes and then connecting those boxes, because it's not just the content of the boxes that you're ticking, it's how those boxes interact and what's around the boxes. Quite often businesses go through box ticking exercises to say, and maybe this is more my wheelhouse in the sense of disabled people. Well, let's get this disabled person in. He's blind. We'll tick that box with that person, or this person's a particular race, so we can tick that box with that tick. Well, that's not solving those problems. That's not looking at the opportunities of those people.
Right.
That's not looking at what's actually available for us to think about the way forward. All that's doing is just ticking the same old box that doesn't really make any difference. And what makes the difference is understanding, listening, and taking on board what those people actually want and need and think, and working together to bring legacy, bring change, and make things happen by doing things together, whether that's pivoting, if you want to call it that. But I think the subject this evening has really been about learning, believing in ourselves, believing in other people, and thinking about the opportunities that we all have and how we can achieve those through listening to each other, working together, looking at data and thinking about the way forwards, and then taking action to make those things happen. Because if we don't take action sometime soon, what is the difference that we're going to make if we don't make a real difference soon? Because that's the world that we live in today. We're the miracles, each and every one of us, and everybody else out there in the world. Sadly, we've come to the end of the evening in my side of the world. The rest of you still have the rest of the day to enjoy. I'm looking forward to going to bed because it's been a very long, cold day. I would like to say thank you very much to all of you. I know Jason and Clifford that disappeared a little bit early. Marcus, you want to speak, or are you just waving at me to say hello?
I'm just saying goodbye because I know it's late in your time, but just to end this with you guys is like listening to understand instead of listening to reply. If we have that mindset every time we jump into a conversation, I think the conversation can end in like, let's agree to disagree. We're all adults here. That doesn't mean, I think that's a big thing. That's a big piece I carry every time I speak with someone.
Yeah. Listening is the key. In fact, Pauline and I were on a call together earlier today talking about people who are, me, I never say the right things. Let's just call them people who are hearing challenged. I think that fits okay. And the difficulty sometimes is that we don't listen to the things that we miss. We just think about the things that are already ticking those boxes. We think about the things that we want to hear rather than listening to the actual possibilities, the actual opportunities, the actual miracles that exist in other people, their opinions, because they matter just as much as ours. It doesn't matter what we believe, it matters what we all believe. And the future is for all of us, not just what I believe or what somebody else believes. So anyway, I've said enough. I'm off to bed because I'm probably not making any sense now because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Amber, so I'm sorry I put you on mute earlier because I think there was a bit of background noise coming from you. It was a bit disturbing for Pauline because she's partially hearing. So my apologies. Thank you very much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday evening for my next live event. Well, Monday evening, my time. It's probably morning time for you, because you're all part-time, aren't you? I've already finished the day by the time that you're all starting. But anyway, thanks very much for coming. I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.